Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephanie Bernstein, one of the rabbis at Road of Shalom, and I'm delighted to be here with my colleague, Cantor Rachel Rhodes, and all of you. And although we are all in different places, many of us, we are here today to create a sacred space to celebrate Shabbat and to celebrate this wonderful day when Jacob and Harrison are going to be called to the Torah for the first time as Jewish adults. So we are just delighted to welcome all of you, and we are thrilled to have you with us today.
Absolutely, Rabbi Bernstein, it's so nice to see you there in your Zoom room, and so wonderful to see all these friends and family gathered. If you could just give us a wave. Let's see you all waving. Oh, they can hear us. They're here with us in this moment. It's so great to have you all here, joining us for Harrison and Jacob and this wonderful moment in their life. We, just a bit of housekeeping. We'd love for you to follow along with us in our prayer book. Of course, both Harrison and Jacob will be leading prayers, both singing and in Hebrew and in English. And you can do so by clicking on the link on our streaming site, templeroadofshalom.org/live. And we hope you'll follow along in this flip book. And of course, if you're here in the sanctuary, you can follow along in our prayer books, which are here for you. So something that we do here at Temple Road of Shalom is a moment for the parents of the Bar Mitzvah to look into their children's eyes and wish them a wonderful moment and to give them a blessing. So it's my honor to invite Lainey and Stephen to stand with Harrison and Jacob to have a private moment of blessing as they reflect on this day. You guys can just stand kind of right in front of your seats there while I sing a blessing for them as well. We continue in our worship service this morning on page 195 with the Baruch Hu. If you're at home and you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to please rise. And as we're singing this opening prayer, I'll invite Harrison to join at his podium as he prepares to lead us in worship. We continue with the Baruch Hu. Please rise.
La Please join me in Yotzer Or, if you are comfortable with the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer Or, uvereh Hoshe, Oseh Shalom, uvoreh et hakol, hameir le'aretz, ve'ladarim alecha brachamim, uvtuvo mikadesh b'chol yom tamid, ma'aseh v'reishit, Marabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechokma asita, malach haaretz, kin yadnecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al sheba ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al mereor she'asita, yefaharu ha'sela, or hadash al Zion ta'ir, venizke kulanu, mechera le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Our service continues on page 198 with the first paragraph of Ahava Rabbah. Please join me. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hem Lagidola Vitera, Hamalta Aleinu, Bavor Avotenu Veimotenu, Shebat Huvecha Bat Lamdim Uke Hayim, Kain Tahonenu Utlamdenu, Hamrachem Rachem Aleinu, Vitain Billy Benu Lechavin, Ulehaskil, Lishmo Walol Mod Ule Lamed, Lishmor Vela Asot Ul Kayem, Et Kol Divrei Talmud Torah Techa Be'ahava. We continue in English responsively on the next page. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. And in every land and every age, your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully, we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael, be'achava.
Amen. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated. Please join me as we chant Ve'ahavta together on page 201. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shivteha v'vetecha uvlefteha v'adere u'shovbeha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'chayu letotafot beinenecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvishareha leman tiskeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai ve'yitem kedoshim le'elohehem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti ethem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Please join me in the English. Love Adonai your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They remind us to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Page 203. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
You, if you feel comfortable doing so, to please rise, and I invite Jacob up to the podium to lead his section of the worship service.
We continue with the tefillah on page 205. Please join me as we chant the prayers on the next 3 pages together. Adonai sefatay tifta ufia gitechilateha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei HaKol, Ve'zocher Haste Avot v'Imachot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'Nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Mela Ozer Umashia Umagen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Be'ezrat Sarah. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Together. Help us to see the wonder of being. Help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path.
Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring nearer the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace.
We continue together on the next page with Give a Rope. Ata gibor leolam Adonai, mehaye hakol, ata rav leoshia, mashiv haruach, umorid hagashem, mehalkel chayim bechesed, mehaye hakol berachamim ramim, somech nofelim ve'ofech cholim, umatir asurim, kayim emunato, Lishenei afar, mi hamoha ba'al gevurot, umi domela, melech memid, umehaye, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman ata lechachayot hakol, baruch ata Adonai, mehaye hakol. We continue with the Kiddushah on page 208.
מקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה על זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. Adir, adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, ma'adir shimcha b'chol haaretz. Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, v'hu Yashmienu. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Generations will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue with the singing of Yisimchu on page 211.
ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך. Shabbat. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו שבת. חמדת ימים אותו קראת, זכר מעשה וראשית. ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך. שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך. שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת.
Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you called it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Please join me in singing Kadshenu. Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Ratzei v'imnuchatenu, Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, V'etein helkenu b'toratecha, Sabenu mituvecha, V'samechenu b'shuatecha, V'tacher libenu le'ovtecha be'emet, V'hanhilenu Adonai Eloheinu be'achava uvratzon Shabbat kodeshecha v'yanuhu v'Yisrael mekadeshei shemeha Baruch ata Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Beautiful job, Jacob. Fabulous. You can have a seat. We continue in our prayer books on page 212. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam b'ahava tekabel, u'tehila ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Baruch atah Adonai she'odcha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. We praise you, Adonai, whom alone we serve in reverence. And on page 216, we look to this English reading to remind us always to work for peace in our communities. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our effort to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all who come see that it is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit that life prevails. Praise are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom. And we continue with a few moments of silent prayer. Shabbat Shalom, everyone here, everyone on Zoom. It's so wonderful to be together for this incredible Shabbat. Harrison and Jacob, wow, you've already done so beautifully today, leading us in worship. We're so proud of all you've accomplished. And in just a moment, we'll turn really to the pinnacle point in our service, during which both of you will officially become Bar Mitzvah, Jewish young adults, during which you will be called to the Torah, both to read from this holy scroll of the Jewish people, but also to be called up for the Aliyah by your Hebrew name for the first time with this new status. We're so thrilled for the two of you. We know it's taken a lot to get here. And we're so happy that all of you are here joining us on our virtual platform to celebrate with this amazing family and to revel in their accomplishments as well. When the two of you, we know, have practiced so hard, you've been supported by many, many people, right, to get to this moment. Of course, your parents. I'm getting the mom and dad here, if you can see them. And all of the support that you, Stephen, and you, Lainey, have given your amazing boys. But also, I know you've gotten a lot of love and support and guidance from your grandparents as well. And it's my honor to get to wish a mazel tov to your incredible grandparents, so to Samuel Perlman and to Linda Perlman, who are wonderful moment that you are here with us today in the sanctuary. And then on Zoom, we're joined by Nancy Zimmers and Dan Calloway, who are also here, and we should see them on the big screen. There they are, mazel tov, big hearty mazel tov to the two of you as well. So I'd like to invite now everyone who is here with me in the sanctuary, Harrison and Jacob and your parents and your grandparents, to join us for the Torah passing. If you feel comfortable at home, we will rise for the passing of the Torah. I invite Lainey to take this Torah, which is a mini Torah, but it's kosher. It's almost 300 years old and has a very special history. We're going to pass it into the arms of Harrison and Jacob, and we sing this song of welcome to our Torah service.
Harrison, as you receive this Torah, remember its teachings, its wisdom, and its history. Let it guide you in this day and all days. As you embrace it, so may you embrace what it has meant for the Jewish people over the generations. Judaism is history and hope, learning and laughter. We pray that the story of the Jewish people continues brightly with you as you grow as a person and as a Jew. May you embrace the Torah your whole life.
Beautiful. I'll pass the Torah now to Jacob.
Jake, may you cherish the message of this Torah. It is a guidebook passed down from generations of Jews before you who have kept Judaism alive. We take great pride this day in your acceptance of Torah. This responsibility requires strength, knowledge, commitment, and love. Today, you have brought these qualities to the Jewish people and therefore are part of the link of the chain of Jewish tradition. May you embrace Torah your whole life.
Beautiful. And we continue together in the words of Shema. The family can remain there holding the Torah. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shema. Stephen, if you would take the Torah, please, from Jacob and put it back on its podium, and we'll invite you, Jacob, to approach the Torah together with your parents. Everyone else can have a seat. And Lainey, if you'll just take the mantle off, place it. So grandparents and Harrison, you guys can have a seat. And Jacob, I'll invite you now to read the introduction to your Torah reading so that all of us gathered here can know a bit about what your Torah portion is about. And yes, you can take off your mask.
Can I have that on? The Torah portion for this Shabbat that Harrison and I will be reading is called Toldot. It comes from the book of Genesis, and my Hebrew reading begins with chapter 25, verse 19. In this portion, Jacob and Esau struggle in Rebekah's womb. Esau later sells his birthright, his firstborn status, to Jacob. In my partner's reading, Jacob, with Rebekah's help, tricks his father, Isaac, into giving him, instead of Esau, a special blessing before Isaac dies.
Okay, so invite your parents to open up the scroll and just to find your place there in the Torah reading, Torah scroll, to take the yad. For the first aliyah, it's an honor to call up your grandparents, Samuel Perlman and Linda Perlman. Yamdu l'aliyah Torah. And Lainey, you'll probably need to hold it the whole time there, yeah. Baruch Adonai Havarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu Torah. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'ele toldot Yitzhak ben Avraham. Avraham holid et Yitzhak. Vehi Yitzhak ben Arbaim shana bekachto et Rivka. Bat Betuel ha'arami mi padan aram achot Laban ha'arami lo le'isha. Vayatar Yitzhak l'Adonai l'nochach ishto ki akaram hi. Vayater lo Adonai v'atahar Rivka ishto. Vaytrot satsu habanim bekirba v'atomer im kain lama zeh anochi v'atelech yidarosh et Adonai. Vayomer Adonai lach shnei goyim bevitnei u'shnei leumim mima'ich iparedu ul'om mil'om ye'ematz ve'rav ya'avod sa'ir.
Sure, beautiful, Jacob.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Mazel tov and yesher koach. Samuel and Linda, you may have a seat. Beautiful job. And for the second aliyah, it's an honor, Jacob, to call up your parents, Lainey Perlman and Stephen Weiss. Yamdu l'aliyah Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayimleu yamaha laledet vehine tomim bevitnach. Vaitse harishon admoni kulo ke'aderet zar. Vaikreu shemo Esau. V'chorechen yatsa ahiv ve'ado ohezet va'kev Esau. Vaikra shemo Yaakov. Veyitzhak ben shishim shana beledet otam.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Asher koach, Lainey and Stephen. Beautiful. For the third Aliyah, Jacob, of course, it's my honor and privilege to call you up for the very first time as bar mitzvah by your Hebrew name. Yamod, 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 Habachor Habar Mitzvah, Yaakov Barak ben Chaya v'Stephen la'Aliyah Torah Chazak.
Okay, I start. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'char banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayigdelu hane'arim, vayhi Esau, ish yodea tzayid, ish sadeh, v'Yaakov, ish tam, yoshev ochalim, vayehav Yitzhak, et Esau, ki tzayid befiv, v'Rivka ochevet et Yaakov, vayazet Yaakov nazir, vayavo Esau min hasadeh v'hu ayev. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'haye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful job, Jacob. Fabulous job reading the Torah. Beautiful. You can have a seat. Invite your parents to just roll the Torah a little bit to get to the next column for Harrison's reading. Harrison, you can come on up and join your parents at the Torah. And for Harrison's reading, it's an honor again to call up his grandparents for the first Aliyah. Yamod Samuel Perlman and Linda Perlman L'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'char banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And vayhi kizaken Yitzhak, vatihena enav merot, vayikra et Esau beno hagadol, vayomer elav bani, vayomer elav hineni, vayomer hinena, zakanti lo yadati yomoti, ve'ata sana chelecha tel yeha v'kashtecha v'tzei hasadeh v'tzurali tzayid v'aseli matamim kasher achavti v'chaviali v'ochela v'avor teverechecha nafshi b'terem amut.
Beautiful job.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, That's why I can't write it on us.
Amen. Yashar koach, Samuel and Linda, beautiful job. You may have a seat. For the second Aliyah for Harrison's reading, it's an honor to again call his parents, Lainey Perlman and Stephen Weiss. Yamdu l'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Verivka Amra. Wait. Verivka Shomat Bidaber Yitzhak Elisav Beno Vayelech Esav Hasadeh Latsud Zayid Lechavi Verivka Amra El Yaakov Bena Lemor Hine Shamati Et Avicha Midaber El Esav Achicha Lemor Haviali Sayid Vaseli Matamim Ve'ochela Varvarachecha Lifnei Adonai Lifnei Moti Ve'ataveni Shema Bekoli La Asher Ani Mitzava Otach.
Beautiful, Harrison.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful job. Yashar koach, Lady and Stephen. For the third Aliyah, Harrison, it's such an honor and privilege to call you up for the very first time as Bar Mitzvah by your Hebrew name. Yamod, 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 Habachur Habar Mitzvah, Chanan Moshe ben Chaya v'Stephen le'Aliyah Torah Chazak.
Baruch Adonai et Adonai Hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Lechna El Hatzon Bekachli Misham Shnei Gidayei Izim Tovim Vese Otam Matamim Lavicha Kasher Achev Vecheveta Leavicha Ve'achal Bavor Asher Yavarchecha Lifnei Moto Vayomer Yaakov El Rivka Imo Chen Esau Achi Ish Sair Ve'anochi Ish Alak.
Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful job, Harrison. Fabulous work. You guys can close the Torah scroll and put the mantle back on top. Thank you, Lainey and Stephen. And we will sing a farewell song to our Torah. Vezota Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Abi Adonai beyad Moshe.
Wow, Jacob and Harrison, what a beautiful job you both did chanting Torah. And I know everybody else is looking forward to hearing from each of you the meaning and the lessons that you have to teach us from the Torah that you so beautifully chanted. So first, Jacob, we'll hear from you, and then we'll hear from Harrison.
Hello. Today I read from the portion of the Torah called Toldot. This section of the Torah is about the time when the twins, Jacob and Esau, are born. As they grow up, Jacob becomes more of an indoor person, while Esau is more of a hunter. One day, Esau comes back from hunting famished and asks Jacob to give him some stew. Instead of simply giving his hungry brother some nourishment and taking care of him, Jacob thinks about what he can gain from the situation and twists it to his advantage by asking Esau to give him his birthright before he gives him the stew. Esau then decides to surrender his birthright for a bowl of soup, thinking it no longer matters because he is at the point of death. This sets off a chain of events that led to Jacob not seeing his family for 20 years. I never knew soup could cost so much. This Torah portion is important because it teaches us the importance of valuing and appreciating what we have. One lesson that I took away from my Torah portion is that having gratitude for what you have and recognizing your privilege are very important to living a full and happy life. It also taught me that focusing on what you do not have and being greedy about trying to obtain what you think is missing can lead to very bad results. For my bar mitzvah project, my brother and I collected money and supplies to donate to an organization called Casa Chiralagua. They started a special campaign during COVID to make sure families in need had necessary supplies. Each week, we collected supplies and goods from our neighbors and then delivered them to Casa Chiralagua. We also set up a GoFundMe and donated the money we received to Casa Chiralagua. Helping Casa Chiralagua relates to my Torah portion theme of being thankful for what you have and not focusing on what you do not have. The families served by Casa Chiralagua have much less than me and my family. My work with Casa Chiralagua reminded me to be grateful for all the privileges my family and I enjoy. When I gave back to the Casa Chiralagua community, I felt better about myself and made a difference. But if I had not donated, I would have felt less great. If I had kept to myself, I would have felt worse and not benefited from donating. The point is, because I gave back and valued what I had, I benefited as much as the families who received our donations. Another example I have in my life of this theme relates to my amazing Aunt Heidi. She owns a very successful business and is very generous about sharing her successes. She told me once about some high-ranking employees who stole supplies from her and then sold them, causing her business to suffer. She is a great person and fixed this problem, but those people hurt her business and lost their jobs. They should have appreciated how lucky they were to work with my Aunt Heidi instead of focusing on wanting things they did not have. This illustrates that taking what you don't have and valuing what you do have is important to success. The theme from my Torah portion also applies to Harry and me. When we were younger, we used to have no perspective when it came to making purchases. We wanted to buy many things at once and always focus on the next thing we might buy instead of appreciating what we had. But later on, we got some perspective and only bought occasionally and when it made sense. This perspective change changed us for the better, caused us to feel better. The lessons from my Torah portion can be seen throughout history too. There are many examples of countries and leaders who did not appreciate what they had and instead focused in greedy ways on what they desired. For example, after becoming Emperor of France and King of Italy, Napoleon started the Napoleonic Wars in 1803 and ended up controlling most of Europe. Of course, then he had to invade Russia. His greed and desire to get more land would prove his downfall that culminated with him being exiled and ultimately his death in 1815. Napoleon took most of Europe, took the throne, and tried to take Russia, but his greed and lack of perspective ended up ruining his life. Similar examples can be seen throughout history. 1. Nazi Germany took over Poland in 1939, which began the Second World War, or World War II, and ended with Nazi Germany's downfall and an economic crisis in Europe. 2. In Crimea, Russia tried to take too much land from the Ottoman Empire and got crushed as a result. And 3. In the Russo-Japanese War, Russia took Port Arthur from the Japanese and ignited the Russo-Japanese War, which ended in Russia's defeat. All these defeats resulted because of a country and its leaders focusing on what they did not have and trying to seize it. The message from my Torah portion can be seen in current world events too. For example, during the early days of the COVID crisis, and even now, people would and still steal and hoard lots of personal protection equipment, PPE, because they still are panicking. Now, later on, we have a shortage of adequate PPE and can't get any because of the inflated price of PPE and continued hoarding. This shows that time and time again, throughout history and now, taking what you don't have has negative effects. When you keep perspective, have gratitude for what you have, and earn what you don't have, then you will enjoy a better life. That sums up my speech and my message. Thank you to my mother and my father for helping me through this bar mitzvah experience. To my grandparents, thank you for helping me with blessings and providing so much support and love. And I guess the screen. Thank you to my aunts, cousins, and uncles for their love and support. Thank you to the Hemlock community for helping me and being such good company. Thank you to my brother for being a great bar mitzvah partner and an awesome friend and very gullible, so I can eventually betray him. Special thank you to Sylvia for being such an amazing tutor. Thank you to my teachers for making our education awesome. To all my friends and family who logged on today to celebrate with me, a very big thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jacob. Now, Harrison, we are looking forward to hearing from you.
Oh my God. Hello. In the portion of the Torah that I read, Jacob steals both the blessing and birthright of his twin brother Esau. As young men, Jacob stayed at home most of the time while Esau was out hunting down animals and exercising. Because of this, Jacob's mother Rebekah thought Jacob would be the better leader and did everything she could to make sure he received their father's blessing. In this story, Esau sells his birthright to Jacob for a pot of lentil stew, and then Rebekah and Jacob steal the blessing Isaac was supposed to give to Esau. When this happened, Esau vowed to kill Jacob. This made Rebekah want Jacob to get the blessing even more because she believed he would follow traditions. So Rebekah sent Jacob away to be safe with her uncle. Rebekah's bias was very bad because she favored one of her sons over the other when she should have loved both of them. I really hope my twin brother Jake doesn't betray me. Don't look so innocent. One of the lessons I learned from my Torah portion is that favoritism and bias are bad. It can lead to poor decisions and consequences. You can see from the portion that Rebekah clearly favored Jacob, and Isaac clearly favored Esau, and their favoritism colored their actions and led to harmful results. Their family became divided because of bias. Rebekah favors Jacob and wants him to lead, causing him to steal the blessing from Esau, which Isaac wanted to bestow on Esau. This divides the family and causes Esau to vow to kill Jacob. When you are biased, you prejudge people and you do not see them for who they are. Being without bias is very hard. But we all have to try our best to judge people by their words and deeds and not by their outside looks. One example I have in my life that shows me the importance of avoiding bias is my mom. She is an immigration judge. She does a very good job of not prejudging people so she can just focus on the law and the unique story of the person who appears before her in court. Not prejudging people is very important when you're a judge because you need to be fair at all times and as kind as possible, even when you have to deliver bad news. When you keep your biases in check, you can judge people fairly and well. That is, my mom is one of the best immigration judges out there. No kidding. Even if you aren't a judge, not being biased is very important. For example, if you are hiring people and you want the best people for the job, you need to avoid bias so that you hire people based on their qualifications and give everyone a fair chance. Good job, Mom, for being a great immigration judge. For my bar mitzvah project, I collected money and supplies to donate to an organization called Casa Chiralaqua. They help people who are struggling in Alexandria, and they started a special campaign during COVID to make sure families had the necessary food and supplies. Each week, we delivered the collected supplies to Casa Chiralaqua. We also set up a GoFundMe and donated the money we received to Casa Chiralaqua. Helping Casa Chiralaqua relates to my theme of avoiding bias and prejudging in my Torah portion. When you help people in your community, you cannot be biased or prejudge people by the conditions they are in. For the people who needed assistance from Casa Chiralagua, we were just there to help, and that is what we did. Favoritism or bias could cause you to overlook the people who may really need help. If you play favorites, then you might choose to favor your community over others and want to keep everything for your community. Bias gets in the way of being empathetic. It might cause you to just keep your resources for yourself and not help other communities who may be most in need. The themes I took out of my Torah portion can be seen today in world events. Our world could use a lesson of not being biased. Many leaders could use this lesson too. If we stop discriminating against people because of race, gender, identification, etc., then we can help our world become better. If we do not play favorites, then countries can help each other and work together. We need to see people for who they are and not prejudge them. Some politicians play favorites and work to help only one type of person or community. This is bad because their policies only help certain people. World leaders need to stop being biased and start focusing on helping people. There's a particular leader I have in mind. You can guess that. The lessons of my Torah portion can help us rid ourselves of bias, and then we can focus on what matters most. Becoming a bar mitzvah is very special. To me, it means I can participate even more fully in my family's traditions and also follow the Jewish tradition much more closely. That means learning how to make food for holidays like Passover, especially Grammy's delicious brisket, and leading prayers like the Kiddush for Shabbat. Many family and friends have helped me on the path today, and I'm very grateful. I want to thank my tutor, Sylvia, for being very sweet, kind, and helpful. I would not be here if it were not for her. I also want to thank my Grammy and Pa'a and my grandma and grandpa for being kind and supportive. Thanks to my Hemlock Avenue family for being supportive, kind, and offering up some really, really amazing conversations. Thanks to my mom and dad for being the best parents ever. Thank you to all my aunts, uncles, and cousins for being amazing and supportive. Thank you for my teachers. Thank you to my teachers for making my education awesome. And finally, thanks to my brother Jake for not betraying me yet and being a great bar mitzvah partner. Thank you to all my friends and family for celebrating with me today, and thank you for all the support you've given me. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Harrison, please have a seat. And Mazel Tov, you and Jacob did such an incredible job. So right now I can't see you, but I'm going to invite you to take a couple big sighs of relief. Okay, 1, 2, there I can, now I can see you. Okay, a couple of big sighs of relief. You did such an amazing job. And one of the things that I noticed, because I could see your faces as you both began, before you began to chant Torah, were the smiles. So much joy on the faces of your parents and your grandparents and everybody who is here with us today. What a beautiful, beautiful job you did. And in the beginning of the Torah portion that you read, Jake, you read the Ve'ela Toldot Yitzhak ben Avraham. These are the generations of Isaac, who was the son of Abraham. And today, you both truly took your place in the generations of our people. And we are so very, very proud of you. And I loved what you both taught us. Jacob, you taught us the importance of being grateful for what we have. And Harrison, you talked so beautifully about the problems of favoritism and bias and how they can lead us to making some decisions which are not very good. And I have to comment how amazing that you got this Torah portion, which is about twins, right? How did that happen? Torah portion that has a lot of drama, family rivalry, parental favoritism. And I'm happy to report that in this case, even though you both joked about it, the story of the twins, the two of you, is a much happier story. So you taught us so much wonderful Torah, and I wanted to add a little piece of my thought about this Torah portion. I think that we can also see this Torah portion as a lesson about the importance of not being stuck in the roles that we have, the roles that we've been assigned in a way by our families, and maybe giving ourselves a chance to see ourselves out of the fixed roles that we have. And this happens in every family. There's always one person who is considered to be an expert at this, or who has a strength in that, or who likes this, or who doesn't like that. And in some families, I know in my family, people always sit at the same place at the table. So we have these roles that we assume in our family, and sometimes we don't even think about it. And this can lead to a narrowing of how we are in the world and how other people see us. So in the narrative that you so beautifully chanted, Jacob, of course, is portrayed as the brother, the twin, who likes to stay home. He's mild-mannered, while Esau is this rugged outdoor person. And they're painted really as polar opposites. And of course, this is great for storytelling, but these are really stereotypes in many, many ways. I have a confession to make. I've always had a soft spot for Esau, so hopefully that won't leave this Zoom room. But our tradition doesn't always portray Esau in the most positive way, and that bothers me. And also the fact that Esau is tricked in the Torah portion into giving up his Bechorah, the special blessing that should have gone to him as the firstborn. And really, he's written out of the picture in the Torah after this Torah portion, except for a tiny part in a few weeks where we'll read that Jacob and Esau reconcile. He's really out of the picture. And he's not, Esau, portrayed so positively by our tradition. So I wanted to ask how we might reclaim Esau and bring him back into the picture frame, because he too is part of these toldot of the generations of our people. And for that, I want to invite us to think a little bit about the idea in our tradition of the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Hatov. Our tradition says that we are all born within us with the inclination towards good, the Yetzer Hatov, and the inclination towards not so good or evil, the Yetzer Hara. But the Yetzer Hara is not just about evil. It's not some horrible force that pushes us to act in the wrong way, but rather it's something that drives us towards pleasure, think lentil stew, to acquire things, perhaps security. Obviously, if it gets out of control, it can lead to not such good consequences. However, it also leads to some pretty socially desirable results. If we think of all the people who are striving with passion towards the vaccines for COVID-19, that too is part of this drive, which can be so positive. And without this part of ourselves, the Yetzer Hara, we wouldn't be driven to achieve our goals. In fact, there's a wonderful tradition, a story that says that somebody decided to eliminate the Yetzer Hara, and what happened? We all turned into couch potatoes. We didn't have the drive, we didn't listen to our passion to follow our dreams. So the Yetzer Hara connotes passion. In Esau's case, certainly he was passionate about being outdoors, about hunting. He loved to eat, we know that. Perhaps he liked to feel the sun on his face. He had a zest for life. He might have been one of those people that we would have said, wow, Esau, that guy is bigger than life. Maybe he wasn't an intellectual giant. Okay, he was a person of appetites, and that caused him to make kind of a rash decision to sell his Bechorah. But as one teacher put it, and I love this, you know what? There's something to love about a person who prefers a good lentil stew to a birthright. Jacob is portrayed as thoughtful and quiet and studious. These are all admirable traits, but perhaps he was a bit passive as well. So a few questions, Harrison and Jacob, with which I'd like to leave you. I'm wondering if we can have a better balance in our lives between these two parts of ourselves, the Yetzer Hatov and the Yetzer Hara. How can we know when it's important to follow our passion and our zest for life? When should we hold back? How can we value and encourage the parts of Jacob and Esau that are inside of each of us? How do we know when our roles, our stereotypes kind of hold us back? Now, I'm not suggesting doing anything wild or crazy here, but what I am suggesting is that we pay more attention to how we can see ourselves outside of the traditional roles that we assume. The week after next, as I mentioned, we're going to read in the Torah about the reconciliation of Jacob and Esau. And we read such a beautiful line, "To see your face is like seeing the face of God." The reconciliation, I think, represents not only the rejoining of the brothers, but perhaps we can see it as a reconciliation of different parts of ourselves. It provides a sense of wholeness, what our tradition calls shlemut. And what we wish for both of you today, Harrison and Jacob, is that you welcome the parts of you that want to sit quietly, maybe to be a couch potato, as well as the parts of you that really love a good bowl of lentil stew. Harrison and Jacob, you are such a blessing to your family, to our Road of Shalom community, and to the Jewish people. You have blessed us today with the beauty of your teaching and chanting of Torah, with the wonderful way that you led us in worship. And Cantor Rhodes and I would like to give you our blessing now. And we invite you and your mom and dad to come to the foot of the bima so that we can share our blessing with you.
Stay on the floor and face me. Yeah, turn around and go on the floor. Yeah. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
Harrison and Jacob, may God always watch over you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light always shine on you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom, shalom.
Jacob and Harrison, may you always experience God's face lifted towards you, giving you a sense of wholeness, of completeness, shlemut, and of peace.
Amen. Stay right here for one more song. With your two hands, prepare these words. Within your heart rests each verse. And with your voice, our story can be told. With your two hands, hold this scroll. Veshinantam levanecha v'dibartabam. Set these words upon your heart. Veshinantam levanecha v'dibartabam. With your two hands, write your mind. Mazel tov to you. You can return to your seats. We'll remain standing, though, for Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282. Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמו, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On this wonderful, joyous day, we think of all the people who helped Jacob and Harrison get to this point in their lives, people who are no longer living. And in particular, we think of their grandfather, Mark Weiss. And as we do so, I invite all of us, if you're comfortable in rising and able to rise, to join me in the Mourner's Kaddish, which you will find on page 294. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yirhute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agola u'vizman kori v'imru. Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha brichu. La'ela minko birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiram v'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shalomo rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav Huya aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Zichronam levracha. May the memories of all of our loved ones always be a blessing.
Please be seated. So it's my pleasure, Harrison and Jacob, to tell you about a few gifts that you'll be receiving soon as we unpack the congregation, which is all in boxes currently. You'll get these wonderful gifts, and we hope they remind you of this incredible day for the two of you. So you'll receive a certificate, which is signed by me and Rabbi Bernstein and is a wonderful momentum from this day. You'll also receive a copy of our Reform Movement's prayer book from Temple Road of Shalom, the women of Temple Road of Shalom. And you'll also receive some gift certificates. One is from the North American Federation of Temple Youth towards travel in Israel in your high school years. And you'll also receive a gift certificate from our youth committee and Tristy, plus a travel mug, very useful. And finally, you'll receive a Kiddush cup from the clergy. We hope on Shabbat and holidays, when you use that Kiddush cup, it will remind you of the sweetness of this moment. So Mazel Tov to the two of you. We'll conclude now with a closing song and benediction, and remind your guests that you will be able to greet them. So if everyone can just hang tight after the service ends, give the family a chance to go to our social hall. They'll be able to say hello to you, and you can wish them a Mazel Tov as well. So we conclude on page 322 with Ein Kelohenu. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkenu, Ein Kamoshienu, Mich Elohenu, Mich Adonenu, Mich Kemalkenu, Mich Kamoshienu.
Adonai oz lemo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God bless us with strength, and may God always bless us with a sense of wholeness and peace. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Mazel tov.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.